Hello, welcome everyone. I am going to be speaking to Yes today, who are products and healthcare around lubricants and intimate health. So we're going to be talking about ways to ensure that you're not aggravating your vagina, which is very important, especially for those who are trying to conceive naturally in the throes of treatment. And we'll be talking about sexual pleasure, but also ingredients to avoid, things to take into consideration. And Kelly will be answering some excellent questions that we have ready for today. So if you would like to ask anything about how to manage and products to use and looking after your vagina and toxins, then please do stay tuned and ask as we speak. I'm just going to see if she's here. Nice to see everybody today. Thank you for joining us. She should be here any second. So all organic, and we'll be talking about why that is important. We've written some brilliant articles together. Oh, hello, Kelly. Welcome.
Hello there.
Lovely to see you today. Please could you start by introducing yourself and Yes, and tell us a little bit about your offering, your products, and then we'll go into the importance around not aggravating your vagina, especially for those who are trying to conceive.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm Kelly. I work for the Yes Yes company. We are a natural organic lubricant company. So we work closely with women and men with natural lubricant products, with vaginal moisturizers, with cleansers as well, wipes, other stimulant products as well, in a really, really nice, holistic, natural way. Our company is about 20 years old. So we're not new at this, we've been doing this for a while. And we were started by two incredibly inspiring women who kind of started from the point of view of what happens if we create a lubricant that's kind to women, that's not just full of junk and the things it leaves behind and is purely about enhancing sexual pleasure, but actually does good while it's there, that doesn't introduce nasty, horrible chemicals and other things along on the route. So they started with this great idea, and really it snowballed into this amazing company that I get to be part of today. And we get to sell to and help so many different women, couples, relationships, and things like that I don't think anyone ever dreamed of. So we've got this wonderful opportunity to help change lives, actually, from a really interesting perspective of lubricants, of vaginal products. Today our products are sold
Could
in
you
over
turn up
100
the volume a
countries.
little bit, please, Kelly?
Sorry.
Fantastic. Could you just turn up your volume a little bit so we can hear you? It's just a little bit faint.
Okay, hold on.
Well, that's really good background to know. And we have in our office, we have shelves full of the lubricant, which I know the team, we've all tried and enjoyed. So thank you very much for sending those to us. And we want to know more about intimate health products and why that is important, especially for people who are, of course, concerned about what they're putting into intimate areas, which is especially the case for anyone who is trying to conceive naturally or in the throes of treatment. Could you tell a little bit about who tends to use lubricant and intimate health products?
Sure. We find our products are used by so many different people for so many different reasons. It's easy to assume that our products we're just selling to women. That's not really the case. We sell equally to men and women, because really it's about considering what goes into everybody's body and all the things that using a non-organic product can leave behind. So you might be somebody who's finds it really important to buy organic and everything, or perhaps not. Here you have to think about all of those other chemicals that are left alongside. So it's really for anyone who cares about what is left behind in their body in that particular area. What we find is, particularly for women, it's important to consider all of the other health ramifications of some of those chemicals. We find particularly women who care about their vaginal health, they're really well educated, perhaps they've had a medical condition along the way, or perhaps they're just irritated every now and then by different types of products. We work with women who've had serious conditions in this area, serious gynecological conditions, and can use our product without side effects, but also people who are just experiencing intimate dryness at a period in their lives, and maybe it will go away because that happens so often. So we're kind of in this really interesting area where we're helping people from a medical perspective, and we do work with GPs and gynecologists. We are available on the NHS, but we're also for people who want to enhance sexual pleasure in a really, really healthy way. What we find, if I looked at our typical consumers, the people who buy our products right now, a lot of them would be experiencing vaginal dryness because of perimenopause, menopause symptoms, perhaps stress. Perhaps it's just managing a fluctuation in hormones that can affect vaginal dryness. Women who are breastfeeding as well. There are so many different causes of vaginal dryness, and some of them can be lifelong for some people, and that is terrible. For other people, it will just be a period in their life, and it may not ever happen again. So we're there for them when they need us.
And that's a good point you raised about stress, and obviously intimacy and sex is not always a pleasure, and for people who are trying to conceive and perhaps finding it challenging, the fun can be taken out of it. So we do talk a lot about the strain that can put on relationships when sex becomes a chore, and it isn't necessarily, it shouldn't be perceived as sometimes there can seem to be a stigma attached to using a product to enhance pleasure. I don't know why there is sometimes a stigma attached to it, because it should be a conversation that we're able to have and talk about.
Yeah. I think this is something that so many women feel is almost like the performance issue of the woman. And I think particularly when you're on a trying to conceive journey, there is so much pressure to stick to a calendar of regimented number of days, and this is happening as well, and this is sensitive right now, and things like that. There is so much pressure around that. Your natural lubrication, it may not just work the way you would want it to, or perhaps it wouldn't under different circumstances. And I think what we would love to see is, for all walks of life beyond trying to conceive, is that lubricant becomes less of a shame product and less of an embarrassment. It's just, actually, do you know what, your natural lubrication might be great actually, but maybe you just want to use something to make it more fun, make it more interesting, share a different experience along the way as well, because as you say, trying to conceive in particular is a really stressful time, and actually that pressure can work against what you're actually trying to achieve.
Yeah. If anyone watching resonates with this, let us know. We've heard it many times in the community before. So it's good to know that you're not the only ones if you are feeling like this. And we have linked up Yes Organics to our bio. So for anyone who wants to go and check out how they may be able to support you, whatever you might be looking for, then please click and have a look, because you have kindly given our readers a discount code. Anyone in the UK, it's YYFHH20 for 20% off. And for those who might be based in the US, it's AYFHH20. So we'll pop that in the description here if anyone wants to take use of that generous discount. So thank you, Kelly.
Sure.
Aggravation. What can aggravate your vagina and why?
The list of reasons is long, but I think it's probably important to start from the perspective of absolutely everybody is different. Every vagina is different, and it's important to understand that what irritates one person might not irritate another person. So start from that perspective, and then start to understand your own body is really important. What you'll find is pH is probably one of the most important factors in vaginal health. The vagina is actually really acidic. So if you start from the perspective of changing anything around the pH in your body in that area, is probably going to have some kind of impact on your health somewhere. Now, some people can use off-the-shelf lubricants which will completely change vaginal health and not see any side effects whatsoever. But we find that for women who are sensitive, for women who want to prioritize maintaining that natural balance, that you want to start with a pH matched product. So something which is not going to change what you naturally would see. And then really it's about keeping an eye on the kind of chemicals that you're starting to introduce there. So the vaginal wall is really, really thin. It's not like the skin that's on the rest of your body. The membranes in this area will absorb absolutely everything. Some of the chemicals that you can introduce into your vagina with different products that you'll find on the shelf can bring about anything from a UTI to thrush, to all these other kind of everyday gynecological conditions that we consider, but are actually linked to the products you're using. So look at the chemicals, look at the side of the pack of any product that you're buying, and really think about what is tied to those chemicals and what impact are they likely to have to my vaginal health. And then really, really think about what is absorbed and what is left behind. Because if you're using something like, say, a silicone lubricant, silicone's not a natural product. It will never be absorbed into your body. You will always have something left afterwards. So that will be left behind on your skin, in your vagina, and has to be dealt with in a different way.
Thank you. And just to name a couple of others, because you've written a fantastic article for us, which we've also linked up in our bio, which explains in depth about chemicals and toxins to avoid, and how you should be selective about what you're purchasing and trying. Yes Lube doesn't include these, and these are things like grapefruit seed extract, glycerin, benzocaine, is that how you say it?
It is, yeah.
Known for numbing effects. Why are these ones to avoid?
I think probably for different reasons. Glycerine, if I start there, is really a sugar-based product, and I think everybody knows that when you start to introduce sugar into that kind of environment and warmth and all of those different things, then you start to create the right conditions for thrush to appear. So we avoid it for that reason, because we think glycerine has a wonderful place in skincare. It does amazing things, but it doesn't to the vaginal membranes. It actually can create these conditions. It's also a membrane irritant, so it can actually create that kind of itchy feeling that's left behind. So it's great for some areas, but not for others. Grapefruit seed extract's a really interesting one, because actually it's not the grapefruit extract that's the problem. It's all the preservatives that are needed to go with the grapefruit extract to make it work and to keep it, to stop it going off, for want of a better phrase. Those preservatives that are required for that, those can irritate the membrane. So I know that when Sarah and Susie were in the early stages of development, they explored this in a lot of detail, because it sounds wonderful. You think it sounds really natural. This should work.
Yeah.
Actually, all the other things that you don't actually have to declare on the side of pack, those are the things that irritate and cause the reactions for many people. Benzocaine is another irritant for a different reason, because it has this, as you say, numbing effect, which a lot of lubricants actually have this in. But I think you have to ask yourself, if you're numbing that
Why would you want to numb?
That doesn't sound right, does it?
Yeah.
Why do you want to numb it in the first place? And presumably it's because you're probably going to experience some pain, and you're not going to be aware of that pain. And pain is your body's way of telling you, stop doing this, something's wrong. So really it's about just thinking intelligently about what's in there. And to be honest, we avoid as many of these different chemicals as we possibly can. We use natural ingredients, we use organic ingredients, so there's no chemicals used in the production of them. And really the only thing which is not really almost food grade product is the preservative that stops the product going off, because otherwise we'd be on a food shelf, to be honest.
You've raised a good point, actually, because a lot of people who might be watching this and in our community suffer from endometriosis. Is this a product that people where they experience pain during sex are okay to use?
I would say if you're experiencing pain during sex, it's always worth speaking to a doctor and understanding the reasons why anyway. But there's no reason why you couldn't safely use Yes products or our Yes products at the same time. They have all natural ingredients. As long as you listen to your body, you think, if you have a reaction, if it creates more pain, stop immediately, assess, have a think about what you've used, why. If the condition stops, then I would just avoid using that product again. Maybe it was a specific ingredient in there. If it doesn't, go back and speak to your doctor and understand it a little bit more. But we tend to find that people don't react that much to what's in the product. You can't say everybody, because some people will react to water, but everything is super natural, and we do try and maintain that natural balance of the body and really replicate that.
Really sound advice. Thank you, Kelly. And the products are available in the US, the UK?
They are. So we market ourselves slightly differently. So if you're in the UK, you're in Europe, or you're in Canada, Australia, for example, we're a Yes company. We market purely in the USA as our Yes, and that's just because of some requirements which are local to the USA. So it's the same products, it's the same values, all of our formulas work exactly the same. It's just really a quirk of some of the things that happen in the USA that we needed to do.
Okay, good to know. And for anyone who's just joined, follow the link in our bio. You can snag 20% off, which is amazing, with the UK code YYFHH20, and for the USA, AYFF20. FHH20, bit of a mouthful, I'm sorry. But we will also put that in our description afterwards in case you want to check out the products and have a try. Parabens and benzyl alcohol, what about those?
So parabens is an interesting one. This is, we find it can mimic the effect of estrogen, which is a concern. And obviously estrogen is a hormone. If you introduce other hormones into your body, it can affect the way the ones that are actually in your body are working. So we avoid anything hormone related in our products whatsoever. We complement any hormone that you may be taking, but we don't actually introduce a new one to disrupt your natural balance there.
Okay.
Sorry, which was the other one?
Benzyl alcohol.
Okay, yes. So I think this is quite a simple one, because we've just noticed from lots of research, lots of papers, lots of investigations, just there are a lot of allergic reactions around benzyl alcohol. So really we avoid where we can. It seems to us right now that it's great for skincare again, but not good for vaginal mucosa. It just doesn't seem to be compatible in that area and causes reactions frequently.
Okay, good to know. And if you do get an allergic reaction down there, what's your suggestion?
I think it's probably the same advice as before. I mean, it's stop using the product, assess after a couple of days, think about which type of product you're using. So as we talked about earlier, there are different types of lubricants. We have two types. We have a water-based and we have an oil-based, and it could be that just one of the ingredients and one or the other isn't working for you. So step back, let everything reset. I wouldn't use the product again if you have had a reaction, and if you're having a reaction that continues beyond that, speak to your doctor as well.
Okay, that's really good to know. Thank you. And why should people use lubricant if they're trying to conceive? How do people know that it might be something that they might want to try?
Yeah, I think it's really exciting. I think a lot of people have never used it because of, as we talked about, that kind of shame factor. I don't need it. And there's this huge growth, and I find particularly younger audiences are more actually likely to try lubricant now, which is quite exciting. Lubricant, I think, it can help your natural lubrication anyway. So if you're struggling in that area and you need some extra help, it's a great way of doing that. Perhaps though, you just want to make things a bit different, just add a different dynamic. And as I said, we have two different types of lubricant. We have our water-based, and I would explain that to most people as the most natural feeling lubricant you can get. It will feel like your natural body is doing what it would normally do. So super natural. For our water-based in particular, it doesn't impact on sperm motility as well. So we're not claiming to like put Superman capes on sperm or anything like that. It's not going to make them super, but it's not going to stop them working. It's going to do exactly what your body would have done. Our oil-based lubricants are more exciting in a different way though, because they feel super slippery. They're really lovely glide. You can use them as massage oil as well as a lubricant. So here it just adds that extra dimension of brings something else back to the relationship, perhaps, where you're in that difficult trying to conceive process, perhaps, and you just want to do something different.
You also have clitoral stimulation, don't you?
We do. So it's fairly new. So we've had it on the market for a year now, and in some ways it kind of flies against some of what I've said, because actually the intention of it, although it's super organic and it's very, very natural, again, is that it's designed to create almost a reaction.
Right.
Because it's used externally, it's used in a very, very specific area. And what I find from the reviews and customers when we talk to them is everybody feels something different, which is really interesting. So one person will say to me, it feels really like cold and tingly, and the next person will be like, oh, it feels like it's burning.
Wow.
In a good way.
Yeah. It's interesting.
So it's just kind of using a different mix of products to maybe take the repetition out of what can feel like a really formulaic process after a period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else that you think people watching should think about, consider, why they should go and try it? As I just mentioned, tap the link in our bio and check it out now.
I think it's got, what we find is when people try it, then their attitude and their opinions really, really change. So it's really worth giving it a go and just seeing what it can do. I think that the other blog post on sex when it starts to feel like a bit of a chore is really interesting, because it's got some other tips in there around you know, how you manage your relationship, keeping lines of communication open. Give yourself a break. It's hard, and you know, be kind, and don't feel embarrassed about using these kinds of products if they take something off the list of things that you have to worry about, particularly during trying to conceive processes. So I think have a read of that as well, because there's some wonderful advice in around that, even beyond the lubricants.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kelly. And one last time for anyone who did miss it before, 20% off. In the UK, you can use code YYFHH20, USA AYFHH20, and find out more via our link in bio. We've really enjoyed the articles that you've written for us, and learning more ourselves and testing the products and trying them for ourselves. It's been a really fun experience, and I do suggest that, you know, even if people want to do it privately, just go and give it a go. You don't need to tell people about it if you don't want to, but it's definitely interesting, especially if times are difficult and sex is becoming a chore.
Absolutely. And when you buy Yes or IS products, everything's super discreet as well, if that was a concern for everybody. It comes in a box that you cannot identify.
That's really good.
Don't be ashamed anyway. You shouldn't.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you so much, Kelly, and thanks to those who have joined today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.